From 1870 to 1871, the French and Germans fought what became known as the Franco-Prussian War. The Franco-Prussian War started as a result of German unification and expansion under Otto von Bismarck. Bismarck hoped to provoke France into attacking the southern German states, causing the southern states to ally themselves and unify with the northern states of Germany and Prussia. The Franco-Prussian War was potentially the last step toward Bismarck's dream of a unified Germany. Bismarck found a chance to force France's hand in the conflict of the Spanish Succession. Napoleon III and his Prime Minister Émile Ollivier already sought war for political unification within France, as it was politically unstable at the time. Assured by the top French brass that the larger French army would defeat the Prussians soundly, the French Parliament declared war. The German army mobilized incredibly quickly, and rapidly invaded northeastern France. At the Battle of Sedan, the Germans used their superior artillery and railroad system to crush the French army, and they even managed to capture Napoleon III. After another crushing defeat for the French at the Siege of Metz, the German victory was inevitable. Using superior tactics and technology, mainly artillery, and more mobilized troops, the Germans pushed decisively towards Paris. After a long siege, Paris fell, and the French were subject to the humiliation of German victory parades and German soldiers occupying their capital. After the fall of Paris in January of 1871, the French surrendered, and Germany announced its unification under the Prussian King Wilhelm I. Under the Treaty of Frankfurt, the French ceded the territories of Alsace-Lorraine to the newly unified Germany. These territories were part of Bismarck's vision, as they contained good land for industry and farming, and they were of huge strategic importance as they gave Germany a buffer from France. Shortly after the end of the war, a group known as the Paris Commune temporarily took over the government until being bloodily removed by the French army. The incident embarrassed France, and left them in no position to make an attempt at retaking Alsace-Lorraine, which they were very unhappy about having to give up. While World War I began 33 years after the end of the Franco-Prussian War, many of the causes can be linked back to it. As a result of the war, relations were, at best, rocky between France and Germany. The new German nation emerged as a superpower, competitive in European affairs. Germany as new power began to threaten the British as well. Now that they were unified and recognized as an European power, they started to turn their sights on colonies, threatening British interests abroad. As the race for colonization commenced, a massive arms race, particularly between the British and German navies, ensued. After being thoroughly humiliated by their defeat, the French realized that they needed allies in case of future conflict. This led the French to ally themselves with the British, and the Germans with the Austrians in response. All these new alliances were believed to be safeguards against war, but instead they just ensured a much larger war, should a war be started. As the European nations were soon to discover, these new alliances only ensured that all of Europe would be involved in future conflicts. The Germans, realizing that the French were likely to at least attempt a recovery of Alsace-Lorraine, determined to be prepared for any future conflict with France. This led to the development of the Schlieffen Plan, which called for a German victory, but only if the attack was immediate. The Schlieffen Plan required that Germany attack France as soon as the possibility of war came up, disallowing the Germans and French to have time to work things out. This upset of the balance of power, combined with hostility between the French and Germans, and new alliances, ultimately led to the outbreak of World War I.